Good afternoon. This is Wallace Durham, the Motivator, also known as Brother Wally. Some things that are happening nowadays makes people wonder, why are we here? Why are you on this planet? Why do you continue to have concerns and doubts about who you are? Well, I'd like to ask you a question. Do you know who you are? Do you know where you come from? Do you have a history that you are proud of being able to share with other people? Well, I have that history, family. I have a proud legacy of where I come from. You see, I come from this beautiful city here in Atlanta, GA. This is home for me. This is where I've been and where I know that I could share where you can be inside. Now, there was a transformation that happened to me as a young man. You see, being born in Grady Hospital, a couple of miles down the road, 1958, coming out in the 50s. But see, in the summer of 1963, my mother, the great Bertha Lee Leonard, she was Durham at the time, she decided to take a pilgrimage to New York. Now, me and my sister Doris at the time, I'm 5 years old, my sister is 9. Now, that's the same year it was the March on Washington, the same year where black people decided to make a difference in their life. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of history of what happened in my life. You see, leaving Atlanta, GA, Redan, Georgia, to go up in New York City, the Bronx, New York, with my Aunt Edna Hughley and my Uncle Jimmy. Oh my God, it was a beautiful time back in the 60s. 1963, the summer. Now, if you could imagine a young country boy growing up in the South Bronx, where there were so many people who were trying to find their way, coming from the South and the West Coast and the Midwest, trying to make New York their home. Well, my mother thought it would be wise for us to do as well. Well, let me tell you, growing up in the Bronx, I remember that summer of 63 at 5 years old. I remember distinctly that there were a lot of people that were looking out for my best interests. Now, my father, Walter Holmes, God bless his soul, I've always had a love for him. And not knowing your father when you're a young person doesn't help you grow into manhood, but it helps you understand manhood as you grow up. Now, I would say from the age of 5 to 7, I was pretty much a shy person. I stayed to myself. My sister did the best she could do for me to try to help me get through the Bronx. My mother, at the time, she wasn't married to Willie Leonard, God bless his soul, who was my stepfather. We were still understanding the Bronx. We were still trying to figure out how we as country people were going to manifest New York in our lifestyle, in our home. Now, as I look around and remember those times now as an adult, it made me wonder. New York City gave me the life and the blood to grow into the man that I am. Now, see, everybody doesn't see their childhood as important if they could try to erase some things out of their mind. One of the greatest stories I remember, growing up, I was 7 years old, I was put in a special class for advanced students. Now, I was already in 1-1 and 2-1, but I was going through the essays and the SRAs, the little colored monitored tasks at rapid speed. And they decided to say, we're going to advance this young man. And I got in 4th grade, and it was still high grades for me. They said, and this was the summer of 68 now, this young man has a special talent. I had no idea about where I was going to go with my life. I knew there was a lot going on. Martin Luther King had just been shot in 1968. Now, I'm 10 years old. I'm realizing that I have this gift of knowledge. And guess what? They decided to pull me out of school and put me in an advanced school called William Lloyd Garrison. It was a school for the intellectually gifted students. Now, that was something very special for me, because when they called my mother to school, they had told her, we want you in school to speak about your son. And I thought I was in trouble. I actually thought I did something wrong. I actually thought I was going to be punished because I was the class clown. But they told her, your son has to go to this new school because his grades are far exceeding the other people in the school. Now, it was me, Rita Cosme, and Anita Hill. I don't forget these names because the three of us went to this school and excelled. Now, there were some things I had on my mind at that time. How was I going to fit in? I was already a shy young man, but I knew that I could grow into consciousness. Now I could say that, but I knew then I was going to have to learn to fit in. Now, I went to this school. I thought I was smart. There were some people there who were getting hundreds on every test, if you could imagine that. Not 90s, not 95s, hundreds. So I knew I had to step my game up as a young man. I'm talking about having something on the dome, speaking of which we're in front of the beautiful edifice, the Georgia Dome. I knew that there were some things I'd have to step my game up in. So what happened to me as a young man, I realized I had to hit the books a little differently. I had to understand my study habits. I had to understand that I knew that I didn't want to let my mother down. Now, going back to my sister Doris, she was already excelling in junior high school as well. So she was kind of my mentor, to speak. Couldn't let her get ahead of me. And then our sister Ann was born in 1966. So I had this 2-year-old sister behind me that I had to make sure she understood. Now, mind you, growing up in the Bronx home was very, very relative to who we are today. Now, yes, we went through welfare. I'm going to tell you this, family. As a young man, my mother used the system to help supply us with what we needed. She worked and used the system. Now, I'm saying that because a lot of people did that because it was very important to understand. This government at the time, I didn't know, was not out to help us. I heard about the Black Panthers. As a matter of fact, I saw a lot of them in my neighborhood. But what could I do as a young man to help facilitate that growing up in the Bronx? So going through school, as I got my grades and finished PS 31, I went into junior high school. Now I'm going on 13 years old. Now, of course, I was liking girls and experimenting with myself, how to talk to them, how to date. Now, it led me to believe that I can grow out of my shyness. Now, I don't want to be remiss in letting you know that part of the Bronx I grew up in was Spanish Bronx. There were Hispanics. Way more Hispanics than there were blacks. Now, guess what, family? I learned how to speak Spanish fluently. In learning how to speak Spanish fluently, it helped me understand now that it's an asset. It helped me be able to speak to people. So I'm going to tell you something. Our Hispanic community is no different than we as the black community. But I'm going to tell you that as a young man, I became knowledgeable how the Hispanic community worked. Now, I say this to you. As a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, after I got out of junior high school, still with great grades, I was always an athlete. I was always running track. I was playing basketball, and I was being introduced to football. And I played football from probably 14 to 16 on an outside team. But I went to DeWitt Clinton High School in the summer of 1972. All boys high school. Some of the best athletes in New York City attended there. The great Butch Lee, who went on to win a 1977 championship with Marquette, and he went on to the NBA with Magic Johnson, attended that school. And he happened to be a couple of grades ahead of me. I say that to say it helped me build my legacy. My legacy of knowing who I was as a young black man growing up in the Bronx. Now, I relate that to you, family, because we want to talk about how you can grow. To come back to Georgia every summer was very influential to me. So I understood that I, as a black man, as I walked through life, as I saw people, as I became more intelligent in my speaking as a young black man in an all-boys high school with no girls, it became easier for me to learn that I had the power to communicate. The power to communicate as a teenager in an all-boys high school where athletics is very deep was something that was near and dear to me. So I'm going to tell you this. It was more challenging to me to be able to let her in track, to be able to make the swimming team and the gymnastics team, work out with the football team, and to be able to say, I now am an athlete, but I knew I had to get out of this high school to make myself work. So I want to let you know that your growth cycle has time and changes. Here's my growth cycle that I like to share with you. So I want to let you know that in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, welcome back. And we were talking earlier about where you get your energy from. Where I get a lot of my energy from and where I really believe my consciousness has raised, especially coming through high school, was from this man right here, Boss Durham. Now, on his shoulder is Lovey Durham, my grandmother. God bless both their souls. But if you could imagine a young man being born in 1871, the son of a slave, he decided to name him Boss, B-O-S-S Durham. Now, it had to be trying for him, speaking of young people, growing up with a name like that, Boss. He wanted him to have that respect. Now, Lovey, L-O-V-I-E, they had the perfect combination. Now, he was 66 years old when my mother was born. Now, that legacy in and of itself helped me understand through my uncle that he had some trying times growing up, having to explain that his name was not Bass. So to protect his life, they just called him BD. All the relatives called him BD. Now, that's just like JC or JT or whatever name and initials you use, but that was his legacy. I'm saying that to you to let you understand that this is where my energy rises from. I know I have his spirit in me, as well as the loving presence of my grandmother, with the name Lovey as well. So that helps me understand, growing up as a teenager, where I was destined to be. Now, in 1975, I graduated, well, into another realm of consciousness. It was my senior year of high school. In January of 1976, I left DeWitt Clinton High School, only to go into Hunter College in February of 1976. Now, my young adulthood, I was always a dancer and a martial artist. I became very proficient in the martial arts in 1973. Now, if you think about those years when men were able to fight with their hands without having to worry about guns per se, that was very interesting for me to be able to grow up in New York. So I say this to you. In 1976, I would say probably through 1979, I understood that relationship building was important. I majored in communication in Hunter College. I was on the radio station, and I happened to be able to be gifted enough to be on their radio station, WRFH Hunter College, Radio Free Hunter. That gave me the voice to be able to communicate. I also was a writer for the school newsletter and a member of the Black Student Union. Now, mind you, playing JV basketball for about 2 months, I realized I could not be on the Black Student Union. I could not do what I wanted to do on the radio station and play JV basketball. So I had to give up basketball because being black and conscious was something important to me in the 70s, and of course the radio station. Now, of course, I love jazz, and the disco era was very heavy then. Most of you who remember the 70s and disco, it was very deep and set. People were in their own conscious mind. Now, of course, James Brown, Parliament Funkadelic, the Isley Brothers, Minnie Riperton. I mean, all of these artists were out, Marvin Gaye, giving you a sense of love through their music. And I was beneficial in understanding that. That is something near and still dear to my heart today, as we are here in 2009. But let me just let you know, as a young man, there's always a way to break out of a mold. One of my best friends, his name was Rodney Brown, also known as Rakim. He and I were studying very deeply black consciousness. We were also studying Islam. We were understanding who we were as black men. He became a member of the 5 Percenters. I mean, he was wearing 7s on his jersey, and he was also one of the young brothers that, when we were growing up in the Bronx, that used to get picked on a lot. He took it upon himself to not let that happen again. He and I were very proficient in fighting, and we understood what we had to do as black men. Well, God bless his soul, Rakim isn't with us anymore. But as my friend, and I love you in the spirit, it didn't have to be that way, because he died by a bullet. And I say this to you, there are some things that you know, there are some things that you're destined for, there are some things that you must discuss. But of all things, let's discuss peace. Of all things, let's discuss how we can come together and find a way as black men and black women to grow in our consciousness. That's why I'm here, to let you know that through my youth, I found a way to make it into adulthood. Now, graduating Hunter College in 1980, brought me to a level of consciousness that I also like to share with you. That level of consciousness was young adulthood. Where am I going to take my life? Where am I going to go? Where am I going to be? With this degree and somebody's institution behind me, but what am I going to do as a black man? Well, I like to share what I did growing into that consciousness as a black man in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, those years growing up in the Bronx, very dear to me. Now, mind you, coming back to Georgia every year kept me grounded, kept me focused, kept me understanding that I still had a sense of home. You see, I knew that my life would change. I knew that now at 22 years old in 1980, it's a beautiful life, but I'm gonna have to go ahead and do something with it. Now, I started working for the Port Authority bus terminal. I'm very familiar with 42nd Street and Times Square. This was right on 42nd Street and 8th Avenue. Now, mind you, here I am out of school. I'm not working in radio, not at this point. But I knew there was something that was great for me. So I worked at the Port Authority bus terminal for 2 years. And I had visions of who I wanted to be. I had visions of knowing that I had this radio personality and voice. I had done an internship under the great Frankie Crocker, God bless his soul. But I knew there was more for me. So what I decided to do after working there a year and a half, almost 2 years, I knew that I had bigger and better things for my life. Now, there was a layoff that occurred in 1981. So during that whole period from 1981 of November through July of 1982, I went through self-discovery. I went through understanding who I was as a martial artist. I went through understanding who I was as a man. I went through understanding what I could be as a person. I started getting into the moons and the stars and understanding my, astral self out of body. But I knew that after dating several women, different ones, Denise was very key in my life growing up, coming out of college. She's a very beautiful woman. But I knew we weren't making it as a couple. So in the fall of 1982, after I started working in business at the Durham Hotel, I became employed in July of 1982. But I then knew that I was good with numbers. They employed me as their accounts receivable clerk. Then I became their credit manager. But God gifted me not only that year with that position, He gifted me with my beautiful wife-to-be, Adele. Now, it was October 2nd, 1982. Now, I'm DJing in a party. And I knew that, if you ever been to house parties, most of you grew up in the city, you had house parties. I'm DJing, I had to take a break because everybody came with the request of what they wanted to hear. Out on the floor, I saw this beautiful, beautiful lady, not knowing that it was Bucky, the brother who I'm DJing for, a sister. Now, we met on the record Sexual Healing by Marvin Gaye. Now, we happened to have one of the greatest embraces and kisses during that time, and I just knew she and I clicked. Well, suffice to say, 26 years later, several experiences later, 3 beautiful children, that we are still together. Adele, you know I love you. But that helped me grow in my consciousness. And I want to say big ups to the love to my oldest daughter, Daisha, my youngest daughter, Kashana, and my son, my best friend, Jarrell. Let's not leave out my grandson, Elijah. Now, I want to say this to you, family. As you grow and understand who you are, she helped me understand my business sense. She helped me know that I had to keep fighting for who I am. And we've become in business with each other. She runs a beautiful daycare to this day, Adele's Daycare. Now, I currently, being employed and run business, I happen to be an on-air personality in radio, international, internet radio. I've done several appearances as a motivational speaker. I've loved entertaining young people, getting them to be where they need to be. As a member of Toastmasters, it was very instrumental in me at the Georgia World Congress Center right down here to be able to do the Black Expo. Now, I say that to say this to you. Learn what your passion is. It's always been said, better to be prepared for an opportunity that may not come than for an opportunity to come and you not be prepared. I learned that from Les Brown, one of my mentors, one of the people who I found a voice in, understanding his lifestyle. So are you prepared to be who you're going to be? I'm going to say this, as I've been in business now with my wife, we're part of another business, Artists International. Artists International helps women and men lose inches and pounds without over-exercising, just understanding who you are. So you, my family, who want to know who you are, who are finding out that there could be an inner you from where you came from, listen not only to my story, Wallace the Motivator Durham, also known as Brother Wali, understand who you are in your spirit. Understand who you can be. I understand who I am. I understand where I'm going. But you have a challenge inside of yourself to uplift yourself and be better. Be better in this world. Be better for the masses. Be better for the community. Be better for those who are less fortunate than you. I see that there's a better part of me that I'm yet to conquer. At 50 years old, I am in the universe, 50 years on this planet, healthy, have not been in the hospital. I have not had any major situations affect me where I could not undo. All the experimentation with drugs in the late 70s and 80s and part of the early 90s was part of the things I can tell you that did not harm me, but I lost some time in doing that. I'm very aware of who I am now. And I'm gonna let you know, family, be who you are, why you are, and where you are. I'm gonna help you get there. I'm gonna tell you that it's not the end, it's the beginning for you. And I'm part of your beginning. So let's keep going. In 3, 2, 1. Wallace the Motivator Durham, also known as Brother Wali. I love you.
3, 2, 1.
Hello, how is everyone? My name is Frank Doughton, and I tell you, we're just excited about what we're about to do. And what we're about to do is just to share a few things with you concerning who I am, where I came from, and where I plan on going. Okay, my name is Frank Doughton, and I was born and raised in New York City. I was born, I was born in Morris Senior Hospital, which is in the Bronx, a wonderful place. And at the age of 2, I moved to Harlem, which was on 134th Street between Lenox and 7th. And some of you might be familiar with the area back in the 50s when Roy Campanella Liquor Store was on the corner of 7th Avenue. But I tell you, we really had a wonderful, wonderful life as far as I'm concerned. Most people feel that, you know, growing up in Harlem and not really having a lot, you know, would deprive you of some things. But I tell you, I really enjoyed coming up in Harlem. And I came up during the time when heroin was, I mean, it was really prevalent. It was prevalent in Harlem. And some of the things that we used to see was frightening. And I tell you, I really thank God for my mother and my father, who is no longer with us, but I tell you, they left a wonderful legacy with me and my brothers. So I tell you, coming up in Harlem, like I was just saying, it was drug infested. And some of the things that we experienced and some of the things that we see, it kind of rubbed off on us. And I lived in Harlem from the age of 2 to the age of 9. And from 9 years old, what happened to us, and sometimes you might feel that it's a tragedy, but I feel it was able to move us to another place and to another level, that we were able to see some other things in life, because we moved from Harlem to Brooklyn. And some of you probably know that when you move from one borough to another borough, the different boroughs have a different flavor. So when I moved to Brooklyn, I really thank God for the family that we moved with. And when we moved there, we really began to understand some things. And when I look back on where I came from and the things that I've done, I tell you, at this time and at this place, I feel blessed. And I have great gratitude for those who have been around me, because I don't consider mistakes. What I consider is lessons. And coming up in life, I've learned many, many lessons. And it's those lessons that I've learned that has brought me to this place in life. Because when I begin to think about where I came from and the drug addictions and the ripping and running in the streets of New York, and many times, you know how people say, once you are a drug addict, always a drug addict. You know, we're ripping and running in New York, robbing and stealing. But I tell you, I'm grateful for where I am now. Because when we talk about drug addiction, I was on drugs for approximately 7 years, from the year of 1964 to the year of 1972. And in that fiasco, I've learned a lot. I've done a lot. And you know what they say. They say once a drug addict, always a drug addict. And one of the reasons that I'm standing before you now, because I'm letting you know that you can be a success. It's not really where you come from, but it's actually where you're going. And sometimes what happens is that what you learn on your journey will continue to take you to the destination and the destiny that has been planned for your life. So I really feel that I'm in destiny. I really feel that the places that I've come from has allowed me to be able to share these things with you today. And one of the main things that I'm really looking at and want to be an example and a mentor to our young people, because let me tell you something, you don't have to do, or you don't have to be a failure, or what most people consider failure in life, because many people would have considered me as a failure. A drug addict at the age of 13, an alcoholic drinking at the age of 10 and 12, because this is the environment that I was in. And because of that, people will count you out the race. But I tell you, I stand here before you, and some of you might not consider this a success, but from the age of 13 up until the age of 20 on drugs, and then coming from there drinking, and coming from that place to where I am now, I'm 56 years old. So I can really consider myself as a success, and not only a success, but an example to let our people know, and the young people that is coming behind us. Listen, you can make it. And that's one of the things that I really teach and preach. I don't consider life as a failure. I consider life as a lesson, and we're learning and we're learning. And if we have the right mentors and the right spiritual fathers before us, then that will enable us that we can be the example, that you that are coming along won't make the mistakes that we've made. And we consider those mistakes as great lessons in life. And when I look back on my early age and my teenage life and my adolescent life, I see where I've learned lessons, and I'm able to teach behind that. And if you know, time would just allow me, because at the age of 20, I accepted Christ in my life at the age of 20. And from 20 to 22, I was called into ministry. Now here it is, I'm 22, called into ministry, wife, 3 children, and actually moving forth with the life that has been given to me. Because once you step into ministry, the whole situation changes. And the Bible says one thing. It says, stand fast in the liberty where Christ have made us free. So what I'm actually doing is I'm standing fast in where I've been made free at. And I teach from a premise of life. I teach from a premise of creativity. I teach from a premise that you can be who you desire to be. See, and when we begin to operate out of that premise, now we're setting the stage. See, now we're setting a path, because we that have gone before you, what we're actually doing is we're trailblazers. We're setting paths. And one of the reasons that we're standing before you today is that we might let you know that we're trailblazers, and we're setting a path for you, a path that will bring you into destiny. And don't think for a moment that you don't have purpose here. Sometimes because you're young and you're ripping and you're running the streets and you got this, you got that, and you might feel that, listen, this is it. But let me tell you something, there is a profound purpose for your life here. And you must understand one thing, that you're not an accident, nor are you a mistake, but you came out of the mind of God. And in creating you, He created you with a purpose. I taught a while ago about a seed, and when I use the premise of a seed, what I'm actually want you to understand is that everything that you need is already in you. It all depends on the earth. It all depends on the soil. It all depends on the ground that you're coming from. See, so when I begin to share with you where I came from, then you can understand that, listen, you can make it. There is no doubt in my mind that you cannot be a success. And whatever it is you decide to do, whatever it is you decide, whatever road you decide to travel down, you can be successful. And one of the things that we want to really begin to let our premise begin to explain to you is that, listen, you can do it. Whatever it is, you can do it. And we're speaking from a place of success. We're speaking from a place that we've been where you are. See, and let me tell you something. In order for me to speak like I'm speaking and sharing with you what I'm sharing with you, see, I've been on both sides of the fence. See, and I found out that on this side of the fence is better. On this side of the fence, you can make the decisions and not others make decisions for you. See, so now what we're actually doing is that we're setting a stage. And many times, and some of y'all might be younger than I am, and you might not remember the song, but it said that when the curtain goes up and the stage is set, everybody is playing their part. So what part in life is it that you want to play? Because when I begin to tell you where I came from and what it is that, you know, I have been able to accomplish, moving from a place of alcoholism and drug addiction into a place of total entrepreneurship, being able to create positions and employment for other people. These are the things that I enjoy. These are the things that I sit back and begin to thank God that He's given me the opportunity and He's given me the privilege. I have 3 children. I have 2 boys and a girl, and I have my wife has 2 boys and a girl. So we have 6 children altogether. And let me tell you something. Out of our lineage, we're looking for success. We're looking for our children to be able to get on a path that will lead them to a place that we call success, doing what it is that they desire to do, and really being able to understand what it is that they're doing. So I tell you, right now, I'm just excited about the privilege that I have. I'm excited about where this is going, and those that are listening, to let you know that there is a chance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
2, 1.
Okay, yeah, and also just to kind of continue and to kind of bring you up to date, I begin to share with you concerning my childhood and coming up in New York City, and, you know, born and raised in the Bronx and raised in Harlem, and after that moved into Brooklyn, which was a place that was called Brownsville. And let me tell you, that's where history took place in my life. And I really believe that most people say that, you know, it was a tragedy, but I say that it was an awakening. It was a consciousness that I really, really needed. And the reason that I say that is because, you know, being on drugs as long as I've been on drugs, and you know, doing the things that I was doing, which wasn't really bringing any you know, definition to my life, but in all actuality, it woke me up, because I really feel that we have been placed here for a reason. We've been placed there for a purpose. And sometimes people will look at my drug addiction as though it was a bad thing. But I feel that if I had not gone through drug addiction, then I would never gotten to the place where I am now. Because it was that pivoted me. It was that I came into the reality of who I really was, or my purpose in life. And the purpose that I had in life, it was not to destroy life, but it was to create life. And when I say create life, giving other people the advantage and giving other people the vision and being excited about others' future. And let me tell you, I have a saying that is awesome. And the saying that I have is, I'm excited about your future. And the reason I'm excited about your future, because it took my past to bring me to my present. And in my present, it actually created the future. So if I can get you to really begin to understand where it is that I'm coming from, and where the premise is that I'm coming from, then I'm hoping that this would pivot you, that you would be able to make some conscious decisions about where you are, and make some conscious decisions about where it is that you really want to go, especially those that have families and those that have children. Let me tell you something. Our children is the epitome of what we're here for. Because remember, we were created that we might be procreators. Creativity is awesome. And what people don't realize is that you're creating anyway. You were created to create. If the Bible said that we were created in the image of God and in the likeness of God, which simply means you have the ability to create. So what is it that you're creating? What is it that you're possessing? See, because one thing about it, what we need to do, and this is the reason why I'm giving you the backdrop on my life. This is the reason why I'm giving you the present on my life. And I will actually take you into the future of what it is that I plan to do. One of the things that we do now is a spiritual life coach. When we talk about spiritual life coaching, we actually want to coach people into what life is really all about. See, life can be beautiful when you learn how to live it. Now, I believe that it took my infancy, it took my childhood, it took my teenage days, it took my adolescent days, and it took my young adult days that I might learn what life is all about. And let me share something with you. When you begin to live life, you will appreciate the life of others. When you begin to create, then you will begin to create something that's not just for you, but your creativity will enhance humanity. We will put here that we might be a blessing one to another. And when I talk about blessings, I'm not just talking about financial blessings. I'm talking about the ability to know who you are, the ability to know where you come from, the ability to know where it is that you're going. See, this is the essence of life. And when we begin to understand the essence of life, then now we can project, we can show, we can do. And one of the things that I love to do is to enhance others, to bring out the best in you. Many times what we do, because we don't always understand life, we create the worst in individuals. We become agitators instead of procreators. So now, since we are getting to a place that we are procreating, and I've taken you from my life and where I've been and what it is that I've done and what I'm doing now, it's not a cycle, but it is a progression. It is moving in a progression. It is moving towards a goal. It is moving towards a destiny. And if I can get you to begin to understand that, listen, life is not left up to chance, but it is a matter of choice. What is it that you choose to do? Because whether you realize it or not, you're choosing something in life. You are choosing something, but what is it that you're choosing? See, so one of the reasons that I'm coming to you today with my life story is that you might be able to evaluate some things. And some of you that are listening, some of you that are watching, you could have been through the same places that I've been through. You could have done some of the same things that I've done. But right now you're at a standstill. Right now you're at a block. Right now you're up against a wall. So I'm here to let you know, listen, you can be made free. That's right, you can be made free. Freedom belongs to you. Freedom is a state of mind. You can actually be locked up in your mind, but yet still you're free in the physical. See, so we're here that we might show you, or we might share something with you that will jar you, to let you know just because we are black, just because we have been stereotyped, doesn't mean we cannot make it. I tell you, when I was living in Richmond, Virginia, I pastored the church there, Capital Christian Deliverance Center. Awesome, awesome ministry. And then the Lord spoke and sent me here to Atlanta, Georgia. Let me tell you something. Atlanta, Georgia is an awesome place. It's an awesome place. It is a place that we can actually begin to move, and we can begin to escalate, and we can begin to create dreams. Let me tell you something. Whatever your dream is, it can come true. Because remember, dreams create visions. Visions create the reality of what the vision is all about. See, so let me tell you something. Our life in Atlanta, we moved here to Atlanta about 6 or 7 months ago. And in that 6 or 7 months, we have an awesome ministry. Not only do we have an awesome ministry, and when we say awesome ministry, we're not just talking about quantity, we're talking about quality. We're talking about what it is that we teach. We're talking about what it is that will enhance you and make you come to the place that now I understand. For the Bible says that in all of our getting, get understanding, because when a man begins to understand, he can begin to move, he can begin to walk, he can begin to do the things that is in his heart to do. Why? Because he understands. Understanding is an awesome thing. Awesome when you be able to understand. So I tell you today we're grateful. Here in Atlanta, we have established businesses, and we continue to establish businesses. My wife has a salon, which is called Salon Z, 6200 Memorial Drive. Awesome place, a place where the energy is awesome. All you have to do is walk in the door and begin to feel the energy. It's not so much, glory to God, as they're dealing with the here, but it is the energy that is projected. We also established a dry cleaners, a transportation company. Let me tell you something. It is all in you. The seed is in you, and whatever's been placed in you from the beginning, it's now time that it begins to grow. It's time now that you begin to harvest that which the seed is procreating. Begin to be able to see those things, because let me tell you something. If you can see it, you can have it. I'll say that again. If you can see it, you can have it. So what is it that you're seeing? Evidently, whatever it is that you have is what it is that you've seen. Because remember, seeing will create it. It is impossible to have anything without seeing it first. That's the creation. I'll tell you, we're an awesome people, and I can't get away from who we are. I can't get away from how we are. I can't get away from our ability. And these are the things that we teach. We teach the ability to speak those things that are not as though they were. The ability to create, the ability to say what it is and watch it manifest right before your eyes. We are an awesome people. And when I talk about people, I'm talking about people in general. We can do what we want to do when we want to do it. I tell you, I am so excited and elated about this privilege, the privilege that we're able to come before you with a life story. Because many times, a lot of times we don't get the proper direction because we don't have the proper mentoring. We don't have the proper object before us. We don't have the proper thing before us that we can begin to have a direction. And one of the things that we want to share, and one of the things that we want you to get out of this program and out of this life that we've lived is an example. And to know that you can do it. There's nothing impossible to them that can believe in themselves. But if you can believe in yourself and you know who you are, then there's nothing that you cannot do. So one of the things that we're here for today is to let you know that you can do what you desire to do. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, you're live.
Okay. Yes, I tell you, I'm just excited and elated about the privilege that we're able to come before you on television and just be able to share with you, some of the things that we've been through, and an awesome place that we're at now. Just to let you know that success is in your repertoire. Success is a part of who you are. Because when we begin to tell you about where we came from, and many of you that might be listening to us today or might be seeing us on television, many of you might have been where we are, where we've been, and have done some of the things that we've done, and you're at a stagnating place. You're at a place where you feel that you cannot go further. We are living examples that, listen, you can make it. You can make it. Many people think that once a drug addict is once a drug addict, always a drug addict. But you got people that are a living witness that you don't have to stay there. You can make it. You can be total success. When I look at my life and see where God has brought me from drug alcoholism, drug addiction, ripping and running the streets of New York, and giving me a family, not only giving me a family, but enabled me to be an entrepreneur, to create jobs and employment for other people. And right now here in the city of Atlanta, we have 2 dry cleaning stores, we have a salon, we have a transportation business, and we are employing people. Can you just sit for one moment and just see yourself where you want to be? See, because if you can see it, you can have it. And if you can have it, then you can do it. So right now, right where you're sitting, standing, whatever it is that you're in, or whatever position or posture that you're in, I dare you to just see yourself doing what it is that you have been designed to do all of your life. Because whether you realize it or not, that seed that's on the inside of you is a seed of promise. It is a seed of purpose. And you have a purpose in life. That's right. You have a purpose. And what you need to do is begin to look at where I told you where I came from and where I am today. So success is born on the inside of you. And let me just share this with you. In other words, if people are saying that you failed at this and you're a failure at this, but let me tell you something. Failure is no more than a lesson. Success is not what you do, but success is who you are. And as you look into that television set today, and as I look into the camera today, I call you success. Not so much as what you do, but you are success. And when you understand that you are success, then now you have the ability to birth success. So I tell you, I end this story with total success. I'm happily married, wonderful children, wonderful wife, wonderful business, and continuing to be a blessing to humanity. God bless you, and may heaven smile upon you.
Brother Frank, that was a powerful story, my brother. Just to know you growing up in Brooklyn, me growing up in the Bronx, man, that whole thing with the drugs, and I've been through that too, man, knowing it didn't beat me, it didn't defeat me. See, we are the conquerors, anything that comes in our body. The body that we live in is God-given, and brother, that's something that our young people got to understand. As they experiment, they don't have to stay stuck there.
That's right. That's right. And what is so awesome about it is that when you and I, Brother Wally, as we stand here and begin to dialogue about where it is that we came from, do you know the awesome energy that we're releasing right now? Just to be able to let them know, listen, you don't have to stay there, man. Life is what you want it to be. Right. And we know that many of you that are looking at us and listening to us dialoguing today, you know that those are not the places that you want to be. You know where it is that you want to go. And we're here to let you know that you can go there.
And going there is a process, not an event. You see, the events of people going out there trying to be concert with it, having good time and laughing, you eventually come down. This brother has come up. I've come up. You can come up. See, coming up now, as young people use it, is a bling bling thing. No, the bling bling is in your heart. With your families. Don't let your families see you suffer. Don't let them see you be less than a man or a woman. And the child that you are, listen to your parents, but offer them words and say, I am at this stage in my life, Mom and Dad, and grow into consciousness, as Brother Frank said, as Wallace the Motivator Durham said. On our radio shows, we talk about this consistently. What is your gift? What can you offer people? Tell them, my brother.
See, and what Brother Wally is saying is so awesome, because he mentioned something about childhood. Now, there is a child of your past that is literally waiting to come out, because whether you realize it or not, when you were in that childhood stage, you always saw success. You always saw what it was that you wanted to be. You didn't see drug addiction, you didn't see alcoholism, you didn't see criminology. Those are not the things that you've seen. You've seen success. See, so what we're standing here to let you know, even though you've gone through those paths, even though you walk down those trails, still success is who you are.
And guess what, family? It's no secret that we are the original creators of a civilization. We come from the descendants of pyramid builders. We are connected to the Most High. So when you drug yourself, you take that natural ability, that knowledge from God that's in your melanin, that has allowed you to think and become a creator, you destroy it. Yes, we've gone through the pilgrimage. Well, you did it. Why are you going to tell me not to do it? Not everybody can make it through. This brother's a living example. He made it through. I made it through. Not everybody's going to make it through. So why even approach the fire? You may get burned. I didn't get burned. He didn't get burned. And we have beautiful lives and family to tell you about it. And those family lives can be heard all the time in your community, in my community. Where is your community? We have a community of strength. And I love to be in communities with brothers like this that can tell it like it is. With sisters like you who can tell it like it is. You're a powerful sister out there. I know you listening to me. You're a powerful brother out there. I know you hear me. You're a young child. You're destined for greatness. Tell somebody who you want to be. Like our stories, you have a story too. Tell them, my brother.
And something Brother Wally said that was so awesome when he began to say that we were the original creators. When we go back to the pilgrimage days and when we begin to talk about the pyramid, if you know anything about it, then you know that we were the one that created it. We were the one that created it, and what seems to be impossible for others are possible with us. So we need to begin to understand, listen, you're the builders. Who do you think built the civilization? Who do you think caused things to come into existence? Who do you think the creators are? We are the creators. Why? Because we were created in the image of God, which simply means that we become gods in the earth, not the almighty God, but an offspring of who he is, which simply means that you have the ability to create your destiny.
And your destiny isn't over. Keep it going, family. Keep it live. Know who you are. Respect who you are. Grow into your consciousness and grow out and go help somebody else. I thank you, brother. You helped me, man.
God bless you, man.
It's all love. It's all love. It's love for you.
It's love, man.
How are you doing, family out there? This is Wallace the Motivator Durham, also known as Brother Wally. You can catch me on Live in the Spirit every Monday night from 10 p.m. to midnight, where I come into your home and give you consciousness-raising radio, not only about things that's happening now in the world, but what's happening in you. I mean, I deal with relationships, metaphysics, the pyramids, where we come as Egyptian kings and queens. I also deal with the fact that you have a business. Bring it to me live in the spirit every Monday night at 10 p.m. Be able to call 1-877-514-5454 or 1-866-851-5279 under the leadership of the CEO and founder Delani Aman, who also comes on Thursday at 10 p.m. Tune into Harambe Radio, www.haramberadio.com. Make a life-changing decision by listening. We love you. Keep it peace and keep it right there.
Hello, my name is Apostle Frank Doughton, and I want you to know that we have an awesome radio program on Harambe Radio. That's right, Harambe Radio, www.haramberadio.com. And I tell you, we come to you every Wednesday night from 9 to 10, every Wednesday. And I tell you, we're offering some awesome things, and we bring you to a place that we're able to let you know what you're capable of doing. And anytime we are able to let you know what you're capable of doing, then it is a blessing to you. So we just like to give a shout out to all of our Harambe family and to all those that are watching. Listen, tune in every Wednesday from 9 to 10. The Great Awakening. Wake up!
Organic seeds, because Monsanto has almost got them all. They've been doing this now for 50